Thank you so much. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is a complicated little dance. And I'm going to introduce it this way. Harvest feasts are common to most original cultures across the world. The Thanksgiving address, however, does not have its roots in a harvest feast. Nor is its actual name the Thanksgiving address, although it is a gratitude practice. So here's how it came about. We're going to be doing the Thanksgiving address, that's why I'm telling you all of this, but I want to give you this background first. About 1,000 years ago, there were 5 warring tribes in what we now know as the upstate New York area, roughly. These nations, which still exist, are in English from east to west, as is traditional: the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, and the Seneca. They were at war with each other and had been at war for a really long time, and an emissary came to them from who knows where. His name is known as the Peacemaker. The Peacemaker stayed with the 5 nations for a long time. This is a true story. This is a story that's been handed down for 1,000 years. The Peacemaker stayed with the 5 nations for a long time and taught them many things. He had an ally, an Onondaga man by the name of, may sound familiar, Hiawatha. And there's more stories about that. But among the things that the Peacemaker taught with the help of Hiawatha was a practice called the words that come before all else, or in the Akwesasne, which is to say Mohawk language, Ohando Galawatekwa. Yes, I did write it out phonetically, because I'm hardly fluent in Mohawk. And a friend of mine teaches at SUNY Syracuse, and sometimes her students say, "I'm sorry, I can't come to this class, or I can't do this exam at this particular time because I have to do the 3-day oration test that my elders have set me, part of which is the Thanksgiving address." And the teacher, who happens to be Robin Kimmerer, of course understands that, and that's part of their work in the class. Anyway, these words of the Thanksgiving address were given to be said, among other things, before any meeting of any size to decide anything of consequence for the people. That was the purpose of the words before all else. One of the results of their having hosted the Peacemaker was that the 5 nations did in fact come together in one peaceful confederacy called the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. The French version is more familiar to immigrants from Europe here. It's called the Iroquois or Iroquois Confederacy. Alison is going to give you the next part of the story.
When Robin Kimmerer asked Onondaga faithkeeper Orrin Lyons about sharing the Thanksgiving address for her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, he said, "Of course you should write about it. It's supposed to be shared. Otherwise, how can it work? We've been waiting 500 years for people to listen. If they'd understood the Thanksgiving, then we wouldn't be in this mess." This is a responsive reading with 19 verses. After each verse, the congregational response, your part, is, "Now our minds are one."
Thank you, Alison. So because the purpose of this address is to bring our minds together before making any decision of consequence, I want to lift up the fact that as the days grow shorter and the weather grows wetter and colder, I would ask you to remember the people in this community, in this city, your neighbors, who by necessity are living rough. People who have lost their housing or who cannot afford their housing. People with fewer options than most of us have, those of us who are currently housed. And of course, not everyone that's sitting here today has always been housed all their lives. So I ask you to remember these neighbors because next week you will, as a congregation, be making a collective decision about whether to agree to be one of the local nighttime cold weather shelters in Florence that will help people stay warm and dry during our heavy winter weather. There are many considerations, and let us begin to welcome those considerations with Ohando Galatewakwa, the words that come before all else. Today we have gathered, and when we look upon the faces around us, we see that the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living beings. So, now we bring our minds together as one as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people.
Now our minds are one.
We are all thankful to our Mother the Earth. We are all thankful to our Mother the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we stand, as we walk upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us as she has from the beginning of time. To our Mother, we send greetings and thanks.
Now our minds are one.
We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms: waterfalls and rain, mists and streams, rivers and oceans. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the Spirit of water.
Now our minds are one.
We turn our minds to all the fish in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that we can still find pure water. So we turn now to the fish and send them our greetings and our thanks.
Now our minds are one.
And now we turn towards the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many lives in many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life continue for many generations to come.
Now our minds are one.
With one mind, we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped the people survive. Many other living beings draw strength from them as well. We gather together in our minds all the plant foods and send them our greetings and thanks.
Now our minds are one.
Now we turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy there are still among us those who remember how to use the plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keeper of the medicines.
Now our minds are one.
We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forests. We are glad they are still here, and we hope that it will always be so. So let us put our minds together as one and send our greetings and thanks to the animals.
Now our minds are one.
We now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others with fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind we greet and thank the tree life.
Now our minds are one.
We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks.
Now our minds are one.
We are all thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds.
Now our minds are one.
Now we turn to the west, where our grandfathers, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voices, they bring with them the water that renews life. We are thankful that they keep evil underground. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to our grandfathers, the thunderers.
Now our minds are one.
We now send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the sun. Each day without fail, he travels the sky from east to west, bringing the light of a new day. He is the source of all the fires of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the sun.
Now our minds are one.
We put our minds together to give thanks to our oldest grandmother, the moon, who lights the night sky. She is the leader of women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children on earth. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon.
Now our minds are one.
We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them in the night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered together as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars.
Now our minds are one.
We gather our minds to greet and thank the enlightened teachers who have come to help throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to these caring teachers.
Now our minds are one.
Now we turn our thoughts to the Creator and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on earth. Let us pile up our thanks like a heap of flowers on the blanket. we will take each a corner and toss it high into the sky. So our thanks should be as rich as the gifts of the world that shower down upon us. For all the love around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to the Creator.
Now our minds are one. We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it was not our intention to leave anything or anyone out. If someone or something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual here to send their greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. I wonder what would happen if this really was a practice before all business meetings.
Yeah.
It takes a while, yeah? They say it takes between 8 and 11 minutes. Actually, it takes between about 5 minutes, which I heard one once, 5 minutes when the tide was turning and we had to get out, to 3 days or so. You know, and the speakers can speak whatever's on their mind. That's how great orators are. I want to thank all the readers today, and I particularly want to give thanks to my colleague in service planning, Alison. We struggled with putting this together, and I think we did a good job.
Yes.
Well, so we did this today because there were several people who wanted to do this today, even though it's sort of an accident that the address shares the name with the Harvest Festival that's coming up on Thursday, which is also known by some people as Thanksgiving or Thanks-taking. And actually there's a plaque at Plymouth Rock that was installed by the city of Plymouth that talks about this and mentions how this is actually a day of mourning for many Native people this coming Thursday. But remember that this Thanksgiving address is said also upon first greeting the day, and not just once a year, every day. In addition to saying it before business meetings. In fact, it turns out that the more you focus on gratitude, saying gratitude in the morning, saying gratitude before a meeting, saying gratitude at a meal, saying gratitude when you see a bird, saying gratitude when you feel the wind, saying gratitude, it turns out that the more you focus on it, the more you see things that you are likely to be grateful for operating in the world in real time. The play of light on water, that sound, what is that sound? Is it a squeaky hinge? Is it a frog? No, it's a bird. Oh my gosh, that bird on the ground right there, it's going Togi. Huh, really? Isn't this world amazing? I mean, it is. People who really attend to gratitude find themselves being surprised by beauty a million times a day, even on a bad day, okay? It's a kind of a prayer, isn't it, walking that way? A beautiful smile on a kid's face, or the person on the street who's surprised by your smile, smiles back at you. They forgot about those muscles. It's one sweet moment of mutual recognition in a day, and it just sometimes it just stays with you, and maybe then. But of course, all of this becomes totally invisible when our attention is distracted 1,000 times a day by apps that are trying to sell us things, screaming and streaming into our consciousness until we are so distracted that we walk like zombies into oncoming traffic, caught in the urgent trances of someone else's business plan. Yikes. Lay that all down, friends. Not just once a year, but every day, many times a day. Focus. Some people use day books to help them focus, collections of sayings or images or songs or whatever, song fragments for every day. What follows is from a collection by Daniel Ladinsky, who's a US poet, by Hafiz, who wrote in 14th century Persia, and he's actually the most popular Persian poet. Not Rumi, but later Hafiz. The reading for today, November 24th, and part of tomorrow, is I Know the Way You Can Get. So listen to the words of the poet Hafiz, translated, which is to say interpreted into contemporary English. I know the way you can get when you have not had a drink of love. Your face hardens, your sweet muscles cramp. Children become concerned about a strange look that appears in your eyes, which even begins to worry your mirror and your own nose. Cats sense your sadness and call an important conference in a tall tree. They decide which secret code to chant to help your mind and soul. Even angels feel that brand of madness that arrays itself against the world and throws sharp stones and spears into the innocent, into one's own self. Oh, I know the way you can get if you have not been out drinking love. You might rip apart every sentence your friends and teachers say, looking for hidden clauses. You might weigh every word on a scale like a dead fish. You might pull out a ruler to measure from every angle in your darkness the beautiful dimensions of a heart you once trusted. I know the way you can get if you have not had a drink from love's hands. So I wonder, have you been weighing someone's words, perhaps even your own words, on a scale, like a dead fish? If you have, you definitely need a drink from love's hands. Have you been measuring the very real dimensions of treachery and betrayal in your life? Where will you find that sweet drink of water that you thirst for? In fact, what do we do when the world is literally or metaphorically beating on us, physically or emotionally, just because it, doesn't even notice you, or worse, because it enjoys that sort of thing and you have just become a target? Duck and cover, friends. Camouflage. Melt away. Become invisible. Find the safe space within you. Find your safe community. Find your safe community. Or communities. With this community at FOOF, we can still do right by each other, whatever the world is dishing out. We can and do focus on that. We promise to hold each other accountable. We promise to hold each other with respect and appreciation in our heart. This is our covenant. Not despite our differences, but because we actually appreciate and are curious about our differences. In our covenant, we can and do promise to be kind and compassionate, nurturing and supportive to each other, to speak and act with courtesy, care, and loving heart, to express appreciations for others' efforts and contributions. And these are just some of the promises that we make each other in this covenant that forms the basis of this very community. The covenant that each FOOF member pledges themselves to when they choose to become members of this community. These are our promises. It goes on. We promise to raise concerns bravely, promptly, gently, and directly with those involved. Recognizing that as we ask others to do that, we are asking others to do that same thing with us. Okay? So to be open to that. We try to listen to understand. We aspire to listen to understand, rather than to judge or to prove a point. Most importantly, however, it's forgiving ourselves and others when we fail to keep our promises, and that's the key. What happens when we break our promises? Can we forgive ourselves? Can we forgive each other? Why would we? Under what circumstances? What does it mean? How hard does the hurt have to be before we cannot do that? We pledge to begin again in love and faith, but can we do that? We will fail each other. It's a given. You know, we're not perfect. We're going to fail each other. But that's not the issue. The issue is what happens after we fail. And this is one of the hinges of every wisdom tradition. Of course, we fail because we're just fallible, and everybody is. It just is. And in part, we will fail because it is the property of the world to keep on changing. Despite the care we put into constructing our buildings, our trusts, our promises, the world goes on changing. Things change. We change, hopefully. And most of us really don't care much for change, unless it somehow makes life more convenient, and then we're all for it. But what is convenient for one can be so much less convenient for another, so we need to keep that in mind too. Sometimes we can't keep pace with it all. We fall behind, we fall short, we're tired, we forgot our promise. How sad is that? But it happens. It happens. Next time. We make bad choices on our way to wisdom. For isn't it said that good judgment is based on experience, and experience is based on bad judgment? Mm-hmm. The question is, do we learn? But another important question is this: is our community, our communities, the ones we choose to invest our precious time in, our one wild and precious lives, are they strong enough? Are they clear-eyed enough? Are they practical and wise enough to know that failure is inevitable, but that failures are communal, not personal affairs? When we fall from grace in some way, isn't it the business of our community to figure out why, how, where was the hole in the community structure that allowed that to happen? Isn't it the business of the community to continue to hold us in some way until we can find our way back to center? Until we can love each other long enough and strongly enough and reliably enough and tenderly enough and courageously enough to let the tender edges of our heart, our frayed and fractured souls mend? Because in the end, this is what makes communities resilient, this willingness to engage in the continuous changes that life presents. I know the way you can get if you have not had a drink from love's hands. These are complicated and unsettling times. This is not news. So it's all the more important to pay attention to this, to focus on what's truly important. And what is that? It's not to have or own or rent or buy or sell, not who we can influence or convince or wheedle or bully into doing something we want, but it's rather the work of building, mending, and repairing the actual living currency of life the energies that flow between and among us. That is the living currencies of life. That we can do something about. Like all the world's wisdoms, the words before all else suggest a kind of a path that can lead us there. Be aware of what's real in this life. Greet and give thanks to it. We're the only species on Earth, and I've said this before, who does not know who we are or why we are here. Let us begin by holding each other in all of that ungainly uncertainty and confusion, especially in these complicated times. Awkwardly, perhaps, at first, but as we grow into this practice more and more skillfully, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Let us find ways of serving each other in the world that take advantage of our many different skills and insights and competencies. And to each of you, I want to ask, what is your superpower? Okay, think about it. You have a superpower. What is it? You tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. Whatever it is, it's needed here with us today. And as our past UUA president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, said, this is not a time for our casual faith. There's a reason why we're with each other here today and on Sundays. Let us be for each other, with each other, for the long haul, mending and repairing that which is needful to stay together, even in our movements in and out, even as we stretch, even as we challenge ourselves out in the larger world, but always coming back to centering love and being willing to let love transform us from the inside out, pledging ourselves to equity and justice for all in a world, or at least a community, where all really are joyously welcome, right? We can do this together. So let us begin again today, building and rebuilding that which is needful in these times. Let us begin again together, bringing all that we are and all that we aspire to be to this blessed community. Amen, amen, and blessed be.